Welcome back to Houkago no Pleiades, episode 8, Nanako 13, and this is somewhat of a, I guess, slightly Nanako themed episode, but I have Skyline with me.
Hello, everyone.
Yeah, we're gonna do our top 3 from this, and I'm gonna jump into my number 3 with, friendship or jealousy. There's a bit where Nanako kinda sees Subaru hanging out with Minato, and kinda, she says something, I don't know what she says, some kind of weird word, and, something about, she almost feels, it gets off the vibe that maybe she's jealous that Subaru has someone so close, or maybe she's jealous of it's a guy she's talking to, but I think it's more of a friendship thing where she's kind of envious that she has an outside friend that, she can talk to and maybe kind of hang out with besides the girls all the time. So it's just, yeah.
She says pull warm. I like how the emphasis they put on the English word in that. Popo means to grow warm, and warm just means to grow warm. So, Japanese playing around with English like that.
Right. But yeah, it's I guess an interesting scene there. I guess maybe Nanako maybe wants to be, I guess, closer to some people. So, but also, like I said before, I think last week that Subaru is kind of like the glue for the team. If she's kind of always around to motivate them or help them, and this is kind of, I guess, her way of doing that maybe without really knowing that they're watching her. I guess she still doesn't know that, but yeah, it's kind of funny. What was your number 3?
Number 3, she puts on those ribbons for Pioneer 11 and Pioneer 12. Nanako does. She puts them on her hat, and those don't exist. Those aren't satellites that exist. Pioneer 12 was proposed to be the successor to Pioneer 11, but it was never launched. It was actually made, but they never launched it. Voyager 3 was the successor to Voyager 2, but it was scrapped before they started building it. Probably because they, built Pioneer 12 and didn't launch it. So, it's just, I'm thinking, is she being optimistic and pessimistic about her trip or her loneliness or something along those lines? Because she does mention Pioneer 11 or Pioneer 10, one of the two that are actually in interstellar space right now, past our solar system. She mentions passing that. So it just made me wonder, is she being an explorer, or is she kind of hearkening the fact that she kind of can't wait to be alone again? That was an interesting little character wrinkle for her.
Yeah, I think it's for her being lonely, because she made a comment to herself, I guess, in a flashback, that she likes being alone. She prefers being alone because due to family or family things with her parents. Her mom took her brother on this world tour with her, and she kind of was left behind with the dad. And that kind of, I guess, stuck with her for a long time, and even up to, I guess, they're in middle school right now, I think, right? So since she was a kid all the way to middle school, she hasn't really seen her mom or heard from her mom. So we see all those postcards in her room and all that. So yeah, it was just.
Yeah, that's cold comfort.
Right. Yeah, I guess.
She tries to interact with it. She says all the greetings in the foreign languages to them all the time. So it's kind of the best she can do. She's trying to remain positive, but it's, like I said, it's still kind of cold comfort for her.
Right. My number 2 would be the, I guess, space travel, aka time travel, which was a thing. They did pretty well in this episode. I think they kind of explained a little bit how they did it, but in the end they kind of fixed things. But the idea of her leaving Earth would be 3 months for her, but in reality, that kind of gets backwards. But yeah, it was kind of cool how they played on that, and a lot of sci-fi shows and things with space have dealt with this, I guess.
It's a very, very real thing when you're considering getting that close to light speed, 99.99999. I had to count that to make sure I get 5 nines like they did in the program. You're very dangerously close, because the good old formula that we all know, E equals mc squared, energy equals mass times the speed of light squared. So the closer you get to the speed of light, the closer you are to converting over to energy. And matter really is just energy that's slowed down a lot. And energy is matter that's sped up a lot in a lot of respects. So yeah, there's that idea that the faster you go, relatively speaking, the time is going by much quicker than it would to someone who's not moving at the same speeds you are.
Right. So everyone else on Earth is experiencing 3 months, while she's experienced maybe a week or 2 weeks.
An afternoon.
Right. Which is
just the space of an afternoon, which when you get right down to it, it's long enough to stand up on a drive shaft.
Right. Which is like which in like sci-fi terms is why they use all those cryo sleep and things like that to just so they don't age. So it's like that little thing like that they throw in there, and yeah. So I don't know. I thought it was cool that they put that in there. They kind of pay attention to like space and all that in science, which this show I think has done a very good job on. It's not like Captain Earth thing where it's just like, oh, we just travel because we travel. and they didn't explain
Yeah.
anything. But so I mean, for me, I always like shows that go into little details like this. You know, it may not matter to many people, but I like when they can kind of, use some real world physics and stuff, and or real world explanations, and throw it into
Yeah, I
anime.
mean, they're still bludgeoning it to death with a
Yeah,
magic stick,
of
get right
course.
down to
I mean,
it, you know. But
I mean,
you know,
yeah,
I
the
mean,
fact that they
it's
have magical powers and they go to space, that's a little.
yes.
I mean, but
Well,
that's the anime. I mean, that's the theme. So,
you got to let the imagination run free.
right. It'd be boring if it's just like girls that just hang out in a class all day talking about space. Like that's fun and all, but can they go to space? You know?
Yeah, let's see them go to that. Maybe that's how the discussion for the show started off.
Right. What was your number 2?
Bridging what you said, fuck yes, science.
Yeah, it was
I
good.
mean, I thought it was kind of weird because they mentioned the Edgeworth Kuiper Belt, which is its full name, but it usually gets shortened to Kuiper Belt. And then they say the Oort cloud without calling it the Opic Oort cloud, which is its full name. I just that was just kind of really strange and almost kind of how laymen would refer to it. Oh, look how smart! I remember the full name, but they forget the real name of the next object they're going to say. And they also mentioned Sedna. That, oh, you've got to pass by that because Sedna has I think I read it probably has roughly around it's very slow moving, and it has something along the lines of like a 2,000 to 3,000 year orbit, which is much, much longer than even Pluto. And so it's in the right neighborhood for her to be able to go by it on her travel out to the Oort cloud and out to where the engine fragment is. So I thought that was kind of cool that they mentioned that because that's Sedna. And all those Uranian trans-Neptune objects are like really, really astrophysics geeky stuff. And, as we discussed earlier, they mentioned traveling near light speed, and they mentioned redshift, which I thought was just absolutely marvelous because that's what happens. You'll see because they're kind of bending light to such a point to where the infrared spectrum is going to be much more visible. Mm-hmm. And so the red part of the spectrum will be much more physical. They mentioned she mentions passing Pioneer 10, which as of 2009 is 100 astronomical units from Earth. An astronomical unit is the distance from the Earth to the Sun. So that's how they measure things. And so by now, in 2015, that's more than about 13 billion miles away from Earth.
Right, yeah. Huh.
And they also mention, she mentions Apate, the goddess of despair and loneliness and all that. Now that's got some real hypothesis behind it because a lot of scientists are saying that there's a larger body outside the Oort cloud which disturbs those. They're dirty snowballs. I mean, they are really dirty snowballs, and they get dislodged, and then they start traveling towards the sun and become comets. So they're thinking there has to be a body with gravity out there that shoots those things back into inner space toward our sun.
Oh yeah, well, that's a lot of information. It's pretty cool though. Good stuff there.
Yeah, and I don't know if they have what they call the gas giant hypothesis that Jupiter and Saturn and the other two gas giants, Uranus and Neptune, could have at some point been stars. But they didn't have enough hydrogen, or they didn't have enough fissionable material in them to be able to do that. So I don't know if it's actually possible. I mean, they did it in 2010. The Odyssey continues, where the aliens turned Jupiter into another sun. But I just don't know if that frankly speaking is possible to give us a binary star system. But it did tie into the theme of not being lonely.
Right, yeah, and that's kind of like my number 1 would be just with Nanako being focused. I kind of wanted more. I wanted more of her, kind of communicating with the alien, because they do show a scene when she finds the alien as a rock talking to her, which is a little weird. But Nanako's a little weird too, if you think about it. She's into cosplay, and she's just kind of out there. So to have an alien speak to her, she's really not that shocked by it. I guess he frees it, and it kind of takes the form of whatever she imagines, which was, I think, a nice touch. That was a drawing that her little brother did with her, and it was just kind of
it was so freaking cute.
Yeah, it was pretty cute, and that just, I think it was more like kind of like the connection with her and her brother through the alien was kind of nice. That especially at the end, it was revealed that was her birthday and she left, so they kind of did that whole thing where we went back in time and traveled. Okay, wait, the world's been reset 3 months later, so you can have your birthday. I was like, oh, that's a nice touch, but obviously playing on the magic side of things, which is nice, which I kind of want them to do more of.
Or, the time and relativity thing.
Yeah,
They just got there via magic.
yeah. And I guess again, it's just her in space by herself was kind of interesting, but also with her being alone, she's very quiet. She talks to herself a little bit, but I guess it's more fun when she's with the team. And I think she
Yeah.
realized that when she's without them, she's kind of boring by herself. But with everyone else, it's more lively. And
Hmm.
this her hugging the alien thing was kind of cute too. Just I almost feel like that there's a connection between her, the alien, and her little brother. That maybe the alien's maybe like the brother character for her right now, since she really has no
Yeah.
one else to talk to
I
besides
kind
her
of find
dad, I
like it,
guess.
when she finally got the heart's communication and she was able to contact the other girls on Earth. I like the fact that they didn't all show up on their individual drive shafts, but they all kind of showed up on hers.
Right, that's pretty
It kind of
funny.
that emphasized the closeness of them and all that, and it was cute and funny and all that kind of neat stuff.
Yeah.
Plus, the president, the Pleiadian, turning into a clone of Nanako.
Oh yeah, I almost forgot about all that.
Look
Saying,
at it!
I know this. I do not know.
Oh,
I do not know.
that was great, but just in one scene, just her just taking a big old heaping bowl of rice.
Oh yeah, she
More,
kept asking for more. Yeah.
um, more.
Her dad's just like, wow, you got
It's like they don't,
appetite.
it's like they don't feed them or anything like that. She was obsessed with food because she was trying to get Hikaru's food as well.
Right. Yeah.
No, President, you have your own. You can't have mine.
Yeah. I was pretty. I kind of wish they did more with that. Played more on with the alien taking over Nanako's like daily life. But I think this episode was that, and they want to get through all the space stuff and kind of mix and match some things. But yeah, for me, I think I just wanted more Nanako. But I think we'll get more later, maybe. But I think it's nice that all the characters kind of had their backstories kind of revealed. Now maybe we can focus on maybe Minato will get a backstory and find out what's up with him. But
Yep.
what was your number one?
3 months of having to do it all over again. Have they been ubified? Did they escape from Punchline or something like that?
Yeah, I was gonna say that both shows kind of share a theme of messing with time or playing around
Messing
with
with time and doing that sort of thing. That's just a weird with a beard kind of attitude, because they kind of treat it as best as they possibly can. It's like, well, at least we have to take the tests again, but at least we know the answers.
that.
And they get to celebrate Nanako's birthday, and this time around maybe maybe Subaru will get closer to Minato or something along those lines. And it was just a weird effect. Just like I said, I kind of like that attitude. Like you mentioned in one of your show in a show note up here, you mentioned the whole time travel idea via inner space and different things like that. And this is a much happier ending for inner space because no one has to get old and die.
Right, yeah, and but yeah, I agree on that. That's funny. You can relive like an event, and so I'm almost thinking I'm gonna get a Groundhog Day episode where it's just her reliving this test, and they're gonna play around with that, saying, "Oh, well, the test was altered because time travel, or whatever." And with Minato, he did something wrong, and now the timeline's been changed. But yeah, it's interesting. Like you said, they experience all that over again. But
Mhm.
most people would say, in reality, most people wouldn't want to relive a day of their life over again and change it up. It's one of those things that you could if you wanted to, but would you? Like, I don't really know. If I could repeat like a year of my life, I don't know.
Yeah, I'm too old to do it. For
Yeah,
that
so I'm
nonsense.
like, I know. But anything else? I think you got some notes here.
Yeah, for just the random notes I'll include some links to a YouTube program called SciShow Space, and it'll be on Trans-Neptunian objects and the Oort cloud. I've been linking some stuff in comments about Saturn and different things like that, and the Sun and Mercury and things that the show has already covered. So I'll just go ahead and toss some of these into to the main body of the text, and that way people can, as they're reading along for the first time, they can kind of take a look at those things. Sasha, if you're really getting on the science and the space travel and stuff like that, that's a great YouTube channel, along with other stuff I've linked. Phil Plait, who's been writing for years online, he's called the Bad Astronomer. He hosts a show for Crash Course called Astronomy,
Uh-huh.
and I've linked shows to that as well. So those are some good stuff for people to watch if they really get a groove on like I do.
Yeah. The only random thing I had to remember, I just remember when I was thinking about it, I'm like, Minato, the evil one, was kind of left behind in space. So I'm like, what happened to him? Because he was sucked into the planet at the very end. The girls left him. But then I'm like, wait, they went back for 3 months, so maybe he didn't go there. Maybe he's back on Earth again.
He reminds me of all like other like classic kind of science fiction nemesis and different things like that from like Doctor Who,
Right.
the Master. Like, they reintroduced the Master in the recent Peter Capaldi Doctor Who, and they killed him off just like that at the end of the episode. And they asked the showrunner, like, how are you going to bring him back? Just like he came back in the old episodes back in the 70s and 80s. We thought you were dead. I survived. That's just what Minato is. He's just there to screw with you. Yeah, how did you get back? I came back.